Not all land's created equal. If you're looking for a place that you can buy for your retirement, but you also want a really good investment, something that's going to hold value, hopefully appreciate in value, something you may be able to develop or something like that, this list is for you. Let's talk about the best places in the United States to buy some land. All right, let's get this kicked off at number 10. Number 10 is Kentucky. Now, Kentucky's coming in right about $21,400 per acre. And the real thing about Kentucky is that we're seeing this investment opportunity kind of pop up. We're going to classify it as moderate, but one of the things that's driving this is you've got good, solid appreciation in Kentucky, and that's being driven by the availability of land near urban centers where people are most looking to buy it. Buildability in Kentucky is pretty good. Zoning laws are usually fairly relaxed, especially in rural areas with varied terrain, but you don't have a ton of just sheer cliffs and things like that that are going to limit buildability. So from that standpoint, Kentucky's really got a lot going for it. On the tax front in Kentucky, we've got low property taxes and there's no income tax. So from a retirement perspective, Kentucky's about as good as it gets. Now, in terms of the climate and what you're going to be expecting down there, first of all, you've got fairly mild winters in Kentucky. You're not going to deal with those harsh winters like up north. And then on the other side of that, though, you're going to have humid summers, and it's going to be hot, humid summers. That's kind of a thing in the Southeast. So make sure you understand that before you go thinking about moving to Kentucky. And I always like to throw in, what is Kentucky best for? I mean, we know at this point, if you like bourbon or you like horses, Kentucky is a really good option. But if you're thinking about potentially farming in retirement, having a ranch, something like that, Kentucky is a really good option for you as well. All right, number 9 on the list is Oklahoma. Starting out values around $19,600 per acre. In terms of investment potential, it's solid, but we're still going to classify it as moderate. The appreciation's not very fast, but there's really strong demand, especially for farm and ranch land in Oklahoma right now. Buildability in Oklahoma, we're going to say moderate also. Now, you do have good access to developed lots. The thing that's holding Oklahoma back just a little bit on that buildability is that utilities can be a little hard to get in some locations, so that's why it's only a moderate for buildability. But as we go through time, that's going to get better and better. As far as taxes go, you've got very low property taxes and no income tax. So again, Oklahoma definitely at the top of the list in those. And then you always have to talk about climate, because when you think of Oklahoma, people think about tornadoes. So you do have to give severe weather a consideration, and the summers can get pretty brutally hot as well. But overall, you know, it's not a bad climate. It's not like Florida, as humid as that is, and it's definitely not as cold as up north. So overall, people that are going to be looking at Oklahoma, potentially farmers or ranchers that are looking on a budget, and people that really just want wide open spaces and not to be around very many people, Oklahoma's a good option. Number 8 on the list is a place that I actually really enjoy visiting, and that's Arkansas. Now, price per acre right now on average is about $11,600. And the investment potential is moderate again, really good for recreational use, things like that, especially when you get up around that northern side in northwest Arkansas. But one of the things that's holding it back from an investment standpoint is that there's so many different areas of Arkansas. Like the northwest side is completely different than the southeast side, so there's a lot of different appreciation in different parts of the state. You really have to do your homework if you're looking there. Buildability, we're going to say, is moderate. In urban areas, no problem, really easy to build pretty much anything you want. In rural areas, just like pretty much everybody else, you're probably going to have to get your own water, whether that's a well or something like that, and you're more than likely going to be on septic. So buildability, again, at this point is moderate right now. On taxes, you've got no Social Security tax, and you've, again, got low property taxes in Arkansas, so things are working in your favor as a retiree. As far as the climate goes, you're going to have mild winters for the most part. Summers are going to be humid again. That's kind of getting into that southeastern part of the U.S. And there's some areas, especially up in the hills, that are going to be flood prone. So again, you need to make sure that you've got a team on the ground helping you out if you're looking in Arkansas. And by the way, coincidentally, the agents that I know in Arkansas, right now they're saying there are a lot of people looking up there. So I'm expecting these values to go up. But anyway, you're going to need a good agent. You're going to need a good lender up there to kind of keep you out of trouble, make sure you're looking in the right spot. So if you need those resources, reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. And so Arkansas is probably going to be best for people that are maybe wanting to get off grid a little bit, wanting some recreational land, wanting to get away from people, but also looking for a good long-term investment. Like I said, the agents that I know are talking about how many people are looking there right now. And when you've got major investments like, again, in that northwest side from companies like Walmart and everybody that they do business with, long-term appreciation looks good. Rolling on to number 7. Number 7 is the cheapest average land land on this list at $10,800 an acre, Mississippi. Now, from an investment standpoint, may not be your best investment. Land is cheap, which is good, but appreciation has been really slow in Mississippi. So that's one of the things that sets it apart on this list from an investment standpoint is, again, it's going to be cheap to get in, but don't really know what that investment potential looks like long term. Buildability in Mississippi is pretty tough. First of all, there's not a ton of utility infrastructure once you get out of the city areas. Even things like electricity can be hard to get to site, so you really have to pay attention there. And then being on the Gulf Coast, all right, you're gonna have issues with hurricanes at some point. So again, making sure you avoid low-lying areas, areas that are prone to flooding and things like that, really important when you're looking in Mississippi. From a tax perspective, again, we've got really low property taxes. You're going to kind of probably get tired of hearing that or come to expect it at any point. But the other interesting thing about Mississippi is they do not tax retirement earnings. So from a state, that looks really good when you're starting to look at retirement and what it's going to cost you to get old. And this may stand to reason, but the people that are going to want to retire to Mississippi are people who are looking for the lowest possible cost that they can and to live in rural areas, again, away from people. If you're looking for that, Mississippi could be a really good option for you. All right, number 6 on this list is a little bit higher cost per acre at about $30,000 an acre, but the Peach State, Georgia, really good potential for a retiree. Investment potential in Georgia is actually really high. The real estate market is coming on. Prices have been going up now for a few years. There's a lot of people relocating down to Georgia, especially from further up, kind of in the northeastern United States. So that is one of the best things about Georgia is the investment opportunity there seems to be really strong moving forward. Buildability in Georgia is really good as well. Utilities and infrastructure are pretty easy to find in most areas, especially the more well-developed areas. So you shouldn't have an issue with trying to get utilities and things like that. The other thing that's great about Georgia is you don't have any massive topography issues that you're going to have to deal with. I mean, you do have hills, things like that. You can deal with that in building. You're not going to be building on the side of a cliff though, so that'll keep your build costs down. In terms of taxes, Georgia has no taxes on Social Security, and when you're a retiree in Georgia, they give you a lot of exemptions that lower your tax burden even more. So tax-wise, Georgia is a great place to hang out. Climate risks, again, and this is like everything else in the Southeast, you're going to have humid hot summers. You're also going to have mild winters. You're not going to have to deal with that bitter cold. And again, Southeast, you're going to get rain, so you're probably going to have to avoid some flood-prone areas. That's like just about everywhere else in the Southeast. So again, once you have that team on the ground that can help you avoid the areas that you need to avoid, you're going to be okay. So who's Georgia best for in terms of retirees? Well, one, if you're looking for potential value in the future, again, the investment here is really strong. Somebody that's looking for a rural estate, just a beautiful estate out in the country, could be a great opportunity for you. And also people who are looking for a little bit of access to the oceans. I mean, you got ocean opportunities there. So if you've dreamt about, being accessible to an ocean, hey, Georgia's a good opportunity in retirement. All right, moving into the top 5. This one actually caught me off guard a little bit. Average price of around $44,600 an acre, but the state is West Virginia. I had no idea how good of an opportunity West Virginia is for retirees. Now, the investment potential is still moderate here. The appreciation is slower. Again, when you're starting out over $44,000 for an average acre of land, appreciation is going to be slower, but there's a good, strong, steady demand because of the location and beautiful surroundings out there. Now, the investment outlook there is moderate because you're not going to have as much appreciation moving forward. It's one of the highest cost per acres in the top 10 here, so there's not that much room to move up. But the demand is steady. You've got a good location there, kind of in the middle of the East Coast, but also you have mountains, you have beauty out there, natural beauty. So the demand has been really high in West Virginia. Our buildability in West Virginia is going to be moderate also. The only thing that's really knocking it down is because of the hills and access. Your prep costs, your site work costs, stuff like that is going to be a little bit elevated compared to most other areas. But again, it's moderate. It's not like it's poor. So most sites, as long as you're working with a local builder, most sites can be navigated fairly easily. Now, as far as taxes go in West Virginia, first of all, very low property taxes, but also security taxes are going to be phasing out as of 2026. They got rid of them as a state. So moving forward, the tax burden is going to be even lower in West Virginia. Now, in terms of the climate, this is the first one on the list where you're actually going to get a little bit of 4 seasons. It's going to be a mild 4 seasons, but West Virginia, because of the mountains, does actually have 4 seasons. So if that's something that you're looking for, but you want a mild one, you don't want to deal with those really, really harsh winters up north, West Virginia would be a good opportunity for you. Now, who is going to be the best fit for West Virginia? Somebody that's looking for a little bit of a mountain style retreat. Again, it's the Appalachians, it's not the Rockies, so you're not gonna have the big, huge, jagged peaks and things like that, but the Appalachians are absolutely beautiful. So if you're looking for a mountain style retreat and you don't want to pay the Colorado prices, West Virginia could be a great option for you. Now, number 4 on the list, and I've got a friend that lives there, she's gonna be mad for getting the word out about this state, but number 4 on the list is Tennessee. Tennessee's average price per acre right now is a little bit over $22,000, but the investment potential is super high. And one of the things that's driving that is there are so many people that are moving to Tennessee right now. Like I said, my friend lives in Knoxville, she's a realtor, and they are overrun. People are trying to get out there. It is a crazy market still in Tennessee right now. They're actually getting a lot of people that used to move to Texas and have decided that they don't like Texas property taxes. So again, investment opportunity is really high because of the sheer volume of people that are trying to get out into Tennessee right now. Buildability in Tennessee is actually really, really good. It is strong. Utilities are plentiful in most areas, which is a little bit hard to say about a lot of states, but out in Tennessee, you've got access to utilities. So buildability is very strong. And then in terms of taxes, they've got no state income tax, and their property taxes are, again, very, very low. There's a reason everybody's moving out there. In terms of climate risk, like a lot of the other ones, you're gonna have very mild winters, which is a good thing. Now, a lot of the area, and especially in the part of the state that has mountains, you are gonna have winter snow and stuff like that. But for the most part, the winters are mild. But again, like everything else in the Southeast, summers are going to be hot and humid, so you gotta be prepared for that. In terms of who Tennessee is gonna be best for, probably a retiree that is looking for an investment that has really, really strong resale potential and already has a built-in client base that's looking to move to Tennessee. So if you're looking for something with strong resale potential, Tennessee's a good option for you. Number 3 on this list is Florida. Now, Florida's got a little bit higher entry-level price. There's not as much buildable land in Florida as there is in a lot of other places. So the land per acre is coming in right now at about $34,900. Now the investment potential is a little bit mixed. We're gonna call it moderate to high. If you're looking around coastal areas or well-developed areas, there's a huge demand still. Just not for condos. Don't buy a condo in Florida. If you need to know more about that, just ask me, I'll help you out. But the downside about the demand, and this is what I was talking about condos, a lot of areas are pretty saturated. Investment's kind of bumping up against the ceiling. So you've really got to understand where you're looking in Florida. Again, just like everywhere else, you got to get that team on the ground to help you avoid the areas that are saturated and go to the areas that are just building now and are still seeing a huge surge in demand moving forward. Now, in terms of buildability, we're still only moderate. Now, you've got infrastructure, you've got utilities in a lot of areas, but as I walk through this grass, you've also got a lot of government regulations because of hurricanes and flooding and stuff like that. So while you do have good access to utilities, your permitting process, your ordinances and stuff like that are going to be a lot harder to deal with in Florida than in a lot of other states. And again, in terms of taxes, there's a reason so many people move to Florida, and climate, we'll get to that in a second, but you've got very, very low property taxes, no state income tax, really good for retirees. And in terms of that climate, okay, we know Florida's got hurricanes. You're gonna have to deal with them. You're just okay with it, or you're not gonna move to Florida. But outside of that, your winters are really mild. Summers are going to be hot and humid. But the good thing about summer is it rains a lot. So, every day at about 3 or 3:30, you're gonna be able to go outside and watch a rainstorm. And then who is Florida best for? To me, it's going to be people who are looking for almost like a legacy property. Again, something you can pass down to your kids and grandkids. If you're looking for a vacation property, maybe something that you're only going to live there part of the year, and then you can use it as a short-term rental or something like that. But, if you're going to do that, make sure, again, you're checking on locations. Right now, I keep hearing that Sarasota and Ocala are really hot. But again, if you're looking for something, maybe that isn't a full-time residence or something that you want to leave to your kids and have a coastal destination, Florida would be a really good option for you. All right, getting up near the top. Number 2 is Arizona. Now, the most appealing thing about Arizona for a lot of people is the cost of entry. you're looking at less than $4,400 average cost of an acre of land right now in Arizona. So if you're looking for something that is a low barrier to entry, Arizona could be a really, really good opportunity for you. Investment potential is still really strong, especially in suburbs outside of Phoenix, outside of Flagstaff, stuff like that. Along that I-10 corridor, really good investment opportunities all up and down in Arizona. And then if you want to go beyond that, potentially start looking up into the hills and stuff like that, you've got the potential for off-grid properties, solar properties. And once you get up into the mountains and you get to those more temperate temperatures, that's pretty funny. Anyway, you get to those easier temperatures to live with. All right, now is when that retirement and that dry air that a lot of people love about Arizona is going to pay off. In terms of buildability, it's a little hit or miss, so we're going to call it moderate. Now, utilities are available, infrastructure is there, and all of that is good. But water rights are an interesting thing in Arizona. It's a desert after all. And then septic availability is also going to be an interesting thing that you're going to have to deal with. So again, a little bit hit or miss, but for the price that you're using to get in, still could be worth it. In terms of taxes, again, really, really low property taxes, no Social Security tax, everything that you're looking for in a retirement investment. And what I've been saying on the other ones, now's the time we talk about climate. Look, for the most part, Arizona's hot, but you know that it's also dry and arid. But you know that, again, like Florida, if you're okay with that, good. If you're not okay with that, you're not going to move there. Or maybe you're going to move somewhere up into the mountains like Prescott. Prices go up a little bit up there, but you're not going to have to worry about 120-degree days. Now, who is Arizona best for? Well, if you're a retiree that is looking for a potential lucrative investment, and I don't say that saying that it's going to happen. I say that from the standpoint of it's such a low barrier to entry, and there's so much room to grow in that price per acre. You could make it a really low investment now that's going to turn out to return a high number down the road. And that could be even better if you're willing to go into places that are a little bit more desolate, a little bit more off-grid, and develop that now. That's becoming a real lifestyle choice for a lot of people. And if you're willing to go out, buy cheap land now, kind of transform it a little bit, again, that investment down the road could pay off huge. Okay, here we go. Number one, I did not plan it like this, guys, but my home state I live in now, Texas. Average cost of land here, now guys, this is misleading. It's just a little bit over $7,500, but Texas is so big with such a varied landscape. I mean, I was appraising land the other day for about $400,000 an acre. Now that is an urban piece of property. But again, you're gonna be able to find land as cheap as $1,000 an acre, and it's gonna go up to $1 million an acre, just depending on where you are. So because of the variability of Texas and the cities and stuff like that, that land value is gonna change. But again, average coming in $7,500 an acre, not a bad place to start. Investment potential in Texas is very, very, very high. We have a large demand of people still moving to the state. We're one of the states that is still adding citizens at a high rate. And there's also a strong economic base, and it's continuing to grow. I mean, you've got all the aerospace companies up around Dallas, and all the tech companies around Austin, all the petro companies and oil companies around Houston. So you've got a really, really strong economic base going on in Texas. So where the potential for investment is going to be greatest is around those urban centers and what we call kind of transitional areas, or those exurbs, 60 to 90 minutes outside of the major metro areas, like getting out into the Texas Hill Country on the west side of Austin and San Antonio. That's where we see the best potential for growth, which is a triangle between San Antonio, Houston, and Dallas. In that golden triangle, we are expecting a huge population boom in the next 50 years. Now, the buildability in Texas is pretty easy. Most outlying areas have no zoning. You know, if you're doing a septic system or something like that, you have to get approval through TCEQ. But for the most part, really, really easy to do your construction. And the availability of utilities is higher than in a lot of other states. Even in the far reaches of like West Texas, it's pretty easy to get electric, just because we had to keep electricity out there for all the oil wells and things like that. So buildability in Texas is really, really high. Taxes is one that we like to talk about. Okay, we don't have state income tax. That's great. Our property taxes are a little bit higher than a lot of other states. They have come down over the last few years. The legislature is continuing to work on that. I don't know exactly how that's going to end up, but taxes is the one that's a little bit of a hit if you're not used to paying property taxes on a piece of property. You're not used to paying higher property taxes. So taxes is one you've definitely got to figure out. But Taxes vary from area to area. I've seen areas with taxes as low as 1% of the value, and then I've seen areas with taxes as high as 3.5% to 4%. So again, you need that person on the ground that can help you kind of navigate through that stuff. Climate risks. Where do I start? In an area as big as Texas, you've got a lot of different climates. You've got drought risk that's usually on the western half and southwest and northwest. You've got drought risk there. You have hurricane risk. You do have tornado and hail risk and wind damage risk kind of through the middle and up in the DFW area and out that northeast side. And again, flood risk kind of all the way around, because in Texas, it doesn't rain like in Seattle where it just may drizzle for a few days straight. We get a little bit of that, but for the most part in Texas, if we're going to get a rainstorm, you might get 4 or 5 inches in an hour. So that rain's got to go somewhere. And if you're in a place like I am in the hill country, well, that rain's going to go downhill and it's going to collect at the lowest point, and then it's going to go rushing out towards the ocean. So we do have climate risks. For the most part, we're not dealing with them all that much. We may have 2 or 3 flash floods a year, but if you just stay out of the low-lying areas, you're good. Now, who's Texas best for? Well, it's best for my friends. Everybody else needs to stay out. Joking. Texas is best for people who have a plan in mind. You can identify land, and again, because the zoning is so minimal, if you have a plan for your land, whether it's subdividing it and selling off portions, whether it's putting in a farm or maybe buying an existing ranch, whatever, if you've got a plan and you can implement it immediately, you're gonna more than likely see pretty good returns. So Texas is a really, really good option. That's why it's number 1 on the list. And just to reiterate to you, guys, I talk about it a lot, and there are so many local, just very nitpicky things that you can find. If you're not buying land where you live, if you're looking to retire to somewhere else, make sure you have a team on the ground in that location that you can rely on, somebody that you trust. If you don't have that in whatever part of the United States you're looking for, reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. And I know agents and I know lenders and I know builders in every part of the United States. It's one of the things I do well, which is network. So if you need that contact somewhere else, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you out with it.